who would like to pretend that they didn't really understand what the Republicans were talking about.
You're going to get testy again. I just don't make it right. But if you let out some of the good people and some of us nasty black youths.
Where are the police not allowed to handle poor, deprived black youths, ma'am?
Over in Tampa and in Miami.
Oh, in Tampa and Miami.
These kids know that they can get away with things, so they end it in jail. They'll be out, and they'll, get probation. Hoop-de-doo. Well, why don't you let some of us...
Wait a second. What do you mean they'll end up in jail and get out? I thought you said the police can't do anything to them.
Well, technically, no. They can't hit them on the head with a billy club. They cannot use any...
They can't hit them on the head with a billy club?
No.
Well, they do when they resist arrest.
Yeah, but they get so chastised for using physical force against these poor little children who have nothing better to do. Let some of us bigots out there. Two wrongs don't make a right. But I guarantee you a bunch of these little scumbags probably won't be around too much longer.
Well, that's because, the bigots like yourself are just a bunch of blowhards. I mean, if you were really into it, lady, you'd go out and organize your friends and tonight go over to College Hill with your clubs and your guns and your and your knives and your bombs and your gasoline and that kind of stuff.
No, because we have no right tromping into their territory.
Blowhard.
Tromping into their place.
You're just a run-of-the-mill nigger hater that sits at home and fantasizes.
Well,
Thank God for you, lady. Thank God that most of the bigots are just like you.
Yeah, and we're pretty intelligent sometimes.
You finished now? Is that it?
No, it's not it.
Oh, well, hurry up. That's the ratings period,
Yeah, I know. But look, like David Duke is not going to get into office and all of a sudden promote bigotry, but he may get rid of some of this stupid affirmative action garbage.
All right. Well, madam, that happens to be affirmative action is a federal law. David Duke is in the Louisiana state.
That is true, but he can
has
also
nothing whatsoever to do with
offset
it.
some of the things that people want to do to promote all this stuff that isn't working. Sorry. That's just the way I feel, but thanks for talking anyway.
That's okay, blowhard. 3:38 the time. Tampa, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Yes, I'm a black mother, and when I heard about it, it was sad to me. I just hate to see children go out and route like that because I came up in the 30s, and when time was bad, and people, they didn't, what you hate I had, it didn't make no difference with me. I was raised, and I have 7 children. They never did it. And I just wished I could do something about it, but you cannot talk to children. Now, if you talk to kids, they ready to knock you down if you tell them it's right and wrong. Where are the parents? When I was coming up, my parents were responsible for me. If I did anything, they were responsible.
No, when you were coming up, people didn't worry about whether or not the kids were going to knock them down. They still took the responsibility.
Well,
rather than saying, oh, well, gee, if I talk to them, they'll knock me down. There's the difference, madam.
Yes, but what can you do about it?
I just told you. 3:39 the time. Let me tell you about something else. Let me tell you about the latest special, this week's special at Grant Car Wash. We're talking about the first class finish. With the first... I love that she... Where's my saxophone? 3:43 the time. The Learjet contest goes on. And I shall be drawing 2 names each and every afternoon. In an effort to get you to continue to listen to the show, this is known in the business as somehow holding the audience. And I have first, and I'm not supposed to tell you what time I'm drawing them, but you'll be able to figure it out in no time at all. The first one that I will be drawing this afternoon sits in my little hand right now. It is from Jim O'Neill in Safety Harbor. He wants to go to St. Thomas. St. Thomas being, of course, about roughly 1,300 miles away. Jim will be able to make it almost to St. Thomas. We will, of course, kick him out of the door with a little rubber Zodiac as we approach 100 miles from St. Thomas. But Jim O'Neill, congratulations. You will be in competition for the final drawing on the Learjet contest, okay? Okay. Sounds like a winner to me. Tampa, you're on the air at 970 WFLA. Hi, Tampa.
Hi. I'd like to know, this is not pertaining to the subject that you're speaking about, but about Islam and Muslims. Can I speak on that subject now?
Can speak on the subject now?
Are you just dealing with the issue?
I'm not allowing people to make speeches per se. What did you have to say on the matter?
Well, first of all, in reference to the position that Khomeini has taken against Rushdie, in Islam, there are 3 conditions under which it is lawful for a Muslim to be killed. One is if a Muslim murders someone, this is under an Islamic state. 2, if a married Muslim man or woman commits adultery. And 3, if a Muslim becomes an apostate. Now, since Rushdie is not a citizen, is a citizen of Britain, since he is a citizen of Britain, then it does not seem right that...
Could we get to the bottom line of this?
I do not agree with Khomeini. I feel that... Okay, I'm not finished, though, if you don't mind. There's things that you've said pertaining to Islam that isn't correct, that I'd like to...
Like what?
Correct. You made a statement that Christianity borrows from Judaism.
Yeah,
and that Islam borrows from Judaism and Christianity.
That's right.
Now, this is not true.
Oh,
now,
I see. I see. You use the same prophets. Of course, Muhammad is I believe, the 5th prophet.
No, the last. The last prophet.
The 5th and the last.
Excuse me?
The 5th and the last. Who were the first 4?
No, there's numerous prophets.
Oh, no prophets before Muhammad.
There's many prophets before Muhammad.
Who are some of those prophets, please?
Adam, Noah.
Uh-huh. Keep going.
Moses, Jesus. Ishmael, Isaac, Joseph.
I see. And of course, so the Muslim religion has nothing whatsoever to do.
But listen, if you let me explain, I can explain it to you.
Right.
First of all, the Quran is considered...
I'll explain it to you, boy. But go ahead.
All right, now, submission to the will of God, to the will of Allah. Surrender to the will of Allah, and it also means peace. Now, Islam has always been preached by every prophet from God. They all preached that man should submit his will to the will of God. Now, Muslims, when they pray, they face the east. And what they are facing is the city of Mecca.
Yeah, right. Anybody that wants to know that already does know it.
Okay,
so what is the point of your call?
The point is that Prophet Abraham and his son Ishmael are the people who built the Kaaba that the Muslims face.
That's what you want to believe.
No. Okay, but listen,
What is the point of your call?
The point is he existed before Moses and Jesus.
The point is, if that's what you want to believe, okay? Hey, great. Thanks ever so much for the call. Really glad to have that one cleared up for us here on News Radio 970 WFLA. Perhaps you have some things you'd like to clear up for us, too. Let me give you the telephone numbers. 2 lines available, both of them in Hillsborough, 990-9352. Lake St. something or other. I haven't the vaguest idea. Lake somewhere or other. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Bob, could I give you a brief history of the Hindu religion?
No, you couldn't.
No. I've been watching politics for some time, and I think that this David Duke thing is rather interesting.
Oh, I find it very interesting. I really find it even more interesting watching the likes of Lee Atwater sitting there sweating on national television when for 12 years they pandered to the likes of David Duke. They were pleased to have his vote.
Well, the Republican Party has really found out something that's really good in PR, and that is wrapping the cross with the American flag and claiming that they are the only good patriots.
Yeah, there was an organization that picked up on that, about 100 years or so ago. They call it the KKK.
I agree. And I always feel that patriotism is allowed
to adjust to each other. You see, I've had an extra 3 hours today to sit around at home and fester over these, in essence, 3 issues that I brought up. First of all, of course, the Republican Party getting all bent out of shape. Well, it's David Duke. We don't understand this. I mean, where'd this come from? Woe is us. Well, of course, for the last dozen years, they've been doing everything in their power to bring in the David Dukes. Because they love David Duke's vote, they're now just embarrassed when David wants to run and get a piece of the action of the party that he has helped build up. Unbelievable. Then, of course, the Midnight Madness situation at this Florida State White Folks Fair. Unreal. And then, of course, this poor dude standing around in 15th century clothing saying, well, this Ayatollah Khomeini Rushdie thing, I don't know, I don't really think it's right to put a price on his head, but none of the Catholic folks should read the book. Of course, one of our more prominent cardinals in the nation.
Bob Lassiter, News Radio 970 WFLA.
11 minutes after the hour, 4 o'clock. Welcome back to the Don Richards Show with Ted Webb on sports. Gary McHenry with your traffic. Michael Serio running the board. Bob Schumann passing messages back and forth. Jennifer Abbott and Alicia Stanford also in the newsroom doing Lord only knows what I can't see from here. And me, of course, I'm Bob Lassiter, just to keep you company until it's time to hear from Don again. But nonetheless, we'll take some phone calls because, hey, I can't talk all this time by myself. Clearwater, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Yeah, clear.
Hey, how you doing? It's the first-time caller.
Oh, phenomenal.
Great. Hey, I have my own opinion here. I think it was
I would hope it's your own opinion.
not counting the parents' fault of these people who ran through the fair, but when the fair runs these specials like that at midnight, hoping to attract a crowd of people who normally couldn't afford to get in, and they're going to
get... It's only $3, and there's no excuse for paying $3.
Yeah,
all the various different
but if you pay $3 to go in to get in, you're going to spend a lot more when you're there. When you spend $10, you get to do everything there. You're going to attract a certain crowd of people who normally can't afford to go to the fair at the right time.
Well, if the fair people really are, if their heart's in the right place, and that's the real reason behind doing this, then let's do it at the more reasonable hour.
Right, and they should also be more, even though they never had this problem before, be ready for trouble to happen. They should have hired more security. When they're making $300,000 for 4 hours, they can afford a few $1,000s more for more security.
And it's not exactly the first time it's happened. Maybe it was a slightly larger scale this time, but it wasn't news.
That's right.
To them.
Well, I just think they should just plan ahead for this.
I obviously concur.
Okay, Bob.
Okay, be good. Off he goes. One line available. It is in Pinellas County, 461-9352, 461-WFLA. USF, someone around USF. Hi, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hi, Bob.
Hi.
I think this fair deal was pitiful, and I think it's a reflection on the families.
Well, I would hope that you would think it was pitiful.
And I think it's a basic problem in our society, Bob. It's unfortunately, and I'm not trying to be racist or anything. It's true that most black families are raised by single black women, or single head of households.
I'm not sure that it's most, but it sure is a hell of a lot.
I think it is. I think it really is.
Right. You may be right.
I think it's over 50%. But anyhow, that puts a strain on the woman to go earn a living, which then she can't spend enough quality time to make sure the kids are studying and emphasize how important education is. And these kids think that they can just get by without education.
Well, that sounds pretty damn good on the surface, except, there's one minor little problem. You see, you're talking to a guy who was raised by a woman who earned like $80 a week, couldn't make, had a tough time making her $55 a month rent because she liked clothes. I don't remember running through the fair, hit anybody over the side of the head because I was raised in a single-parent household.
Okay,
where there wasn't a great deal of responsibility taught.
She never made you study or tried to see that you did the right things?
Never? I wouldn't say never.
Never say never.
But, it was not the ideal situation. And there are an awful lot of other people, millions upon millions upon millions of people who are not raised in the most ideal situations, who never ran through the fairground hitting somebody on the side of the head and stealing their gold chains.
I agree. But let's try to look at the basic flaw right now is that the black family is breaking down, and I'd like that caller that called before try to give all kinds of excuses. Why are these black men not responsible anymore to their families and trying to maintain
probably for the same reason that a lot of white families are falling apart.
Not to the degree that the blacks are.
Maybe not to the degree, but I said probably for the same reasons that a lot of white families are falling apart.
Well,
don't just hang it on the blacks.
Yeah, okay. But I think
you're responsible people. That's the answer, my young friend. You're responsible people, and that has nothing to do with the color of your skin.
Well, I understood that most of these people were the non-white background.
That's true.
So
from what I've heard, I wasn't there.
So where were all the white kids grown up with single head of household people? Why weren't they out there bashing and rushing people? I think it's a classic case of the family breakdown in the black community.
I think it's just plain out racism. It's not a breakdown of the family. Plain out racism. If that is indeed what happened, if that many people at that time, all together of one particular race, decide to run through the Florida State White Folks Fair and bash up on people and steal their chains, then that was a racist act.
So are you saying that in reverse, they're trying to take out on the white people something that we've done to them?
I don't know anything about reverse. I just said it was a racist act, if that's indeed what happened.
But now you're going to be bashed by all of these black
I couldn't care less.
councilmen.
I don't sit here to win friends and influence people.
Well, that's what they're going to say. But I suggest to you that, when I hear all this stuff about...
No, I suggest to you that they won't say a word about it. I suggest to you that the black leadership in this community won't say a word about anything that I've had to say or about anything that happened out there, because that's just the way they like to deal with such things. It's to pretend it didn't happen. But are they vocal when it's racism in the other direction? And racism is a foul, vile, disgusting act, no matter who it's perpetrated by.
Touche, buddy. See ya.
Be good. One line available. It is in Hillsborough County. Off we go to Clearwater. Hi, Clear. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hello, Bob. This is Jim in Clearwater.
Yeah.
I attended the Midnight Madness Friday night. I'm only 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I was one of the victims of the incident that occurred. Let me tell you what I saw, if it matters any to you. Actually, what I seen were 6 Negroes. In my own opinion, I think they were in a gang because they were wearing black and red flannel shirts. After them, I seen probably about 50 Negroes following them, and then I seen about another 50 white people following in behind them, just basically to see what was going on. Fortunately, I wasn't hurt any. My friend was. I agree with you so hardly. I believe there was just too many people there. I have a muffin myself, and she talked me into going. And I just feel, that I feel sort of a hatred towards what happened. But I'm not going to make any excuses for them. I think they should just come forward and say, hey, we did it.
No excuses are to be made. There is no excuse for it.
Yeah, there is. I agree with you so heartily. There's just no excuse for that type of behavior. If it would have been whites, I'd still say there was no excuse. I don't feel that there's an excuse for anybody doing that sort of thing. I was totally outraged at it, and I was really outraged to see people following, just to see what was going on in front.
But you contend it wasn't really 200 people taking part in the acts of violence, or what?
As far as I've seen, there were probably about 6 to 10 just heading up the front, and they were the only ones that were really swinging. The rest were just basically following to see what was going on, but still they caused an act of violence themselves because they in turn just started a stampede, so to speak.
Unreal.
Yeah, it was unreal. Fortunately,
to have that fair open at that hour of the night, attracting that type of a crowd, just stupidity.
Yeah, I went just because it was cheaper than the regular day for me.
I understand that, but if the fair's heart's really in the right place, they can have it on Tuesday afternoon or whenever.
That's true.
Thank you, my young friend. Got to run, but I thank you much for the report. Be good. One line available. It is in Pinellas County, 461-9352. I do not believe how many people, friends, foes, whatever, are stopping me to talk to me about Dr. Sobel's Quit for Life program. And I'm not kidding you. It is. I've had it in the grocery store. I've had friends call up Mary. And it's true. It does work. It worked for me. And my goodness, after 30 years and the hundreds, possibly millions of individual cigarettes that I've smoked, if I could walk away from it in less than a week, 2 one-hour sessions, you can do it too. Yeah, I wanted to quit smoking. I wanted to quit smoking virtually from the day I started. Most of you probably fall into the same category. The best way to do it is to make up your mind, I'm going to do it, and then seek a little bit of help. Dr. Robert Sobel put together a program called the Quit for Life program. He runs the Stop Smoking Center in Clearwater. $37.50 for 2 one-hour sessions spaced a week apart, and you'll walk away a non-smoker, I promise you. Money back guarantee. Dr. Sobel promises you too. Let me give you the telephone number, 787-5530, 787-5530. Quit for Life with Dr. Robert Sobel. Ted Webb with the Sports Teddy.
Thank you very much, Mad Dog.
25 minutes after the hour of 4 o'clock Monday. You probably have figured that out by now. Don't need me to tell you that, but, hey, it's my morning. Overnight lows in the mid-60s tonight with partly cloudy skies. Currently 80 in Brandon, 83 in Lakeland. St. Pete checks in at 85, as, of course, does Clearwater. And 84 degrees in Tampa. Dunedin, hi, Dunn. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Good afternoon. I've been listening all day, and I heard that call where a young gentleman offered the mailing address of the NAAWP.
Right.
Yeah, I was in traffic, and I was fumbling around for a pencil, and all I was able to get was P.O. Box 10625.
No, sir. Let's tell the truth about it. You are the person that called up.
That's a bald-faced lie.
Right.
I swear, I don't have a truck phone. I'm sorry.
Well, you were the very guy, sir, that I was talking about that sounded like he needed a National Association for the Advancement of White People so that he might be able to deal with ill-equipped, ill-educated black people. Tampa, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Hi, fine, thank you.
Bob, I was at the incident the other night at the fairground.
Uh-huh.
And as a gentleman, a couple of people ahead of me described, there were three groups, and when the activity broke out, I was nearest the back group, which consisted primarily of young whites, and they did participate to a slight extent.
They did what, sir?
I beg your pardon?
They did what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
They did participate.
They did participate. Oh, okay.
To a slight degree. I was standing near a couple of people who were pushed down, but then they tried to act like they didn't. But that's neither here nor there. It was a very despicable act. I don't care who did it. There was somebody mentioned earlier, I think it was you, but I didn't catch most of the program. But the fact that we as black people cite so often the insensitivity of others, it really does tick me off that nobody has said anything about the incident, whether it was total black participation or whatever. You're absolutely right, Bob. I agree with you. We should discourage that type of activity.
Well, I'll tell you what's even more important, and what probably ticks me off a little bit more than anything else, the quote-unquote, here's that word I hate, the media, in a genuine effort, I'm sure, to do as much good as humanly possible, kind of backs off as to who this was. And clearly, if 200 white thugs went running through a black celebration of some kind, beating the hell out of people, it would be, front page news.
Right, absolutely right.
Oh, white thugs.
I don't understand the thinking now. During the activity, I recognized a kid that I knew, and I sought to speak with him afterwards, and I did. Well, this was not, as a matter of fact, it was today that I spoke with him. But this was not born out of any racial frustration or had anything to do with what has taken place in the College Hill projects. This was born, from what I understand, out of a desire to demonstrate a toughness on the part of the school's jocks.
Well, that's one possibility. But do you believe that the white folk who were who were members of the KKK, do you think the KKK was born out of racial frustration? It was born out of racial hatred, not frustration.
All I can say is I feel it's a terrible thing to happen, and
all decent people do.
But worse than that, we're speaking of David Duke. I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see a few more David Dukes, simply because of the terrific job that Ronald Reagan did over the last 8 years.
1 second here, because you're starting now to get real close to the point of everything that I've said. I've been sitting here for an hour and a half waiting. When something like Friday night happens, and when the black community, as well as the news media, try to pretend as though it didn't happen, and the state fair people say, hey, no big deal, this happens all the time, there's no trouble at all. It makes it that much easier for the David Dukes, because the rest of the people in the community ain't that stupid.
Reagan has convinced certainly a lot of whites that the world's problems rest with the existence of black people. And that's not at all true. Anytime people feel their slice of the pie being diminished, and an organization as strong as the presidential cabinet can, in one way or another, point a finger at black people, well, it's going to stir up hatred. But the point is, we're spending money on everything except people, and despite the fact that people disagree with it, the measure of any country is how well off its poor people are. And I'm not a poor person, but I certainly sympathize with those who are. And I think in our country needs to get off its butts. We need to start being better Americans. We need to start protecting our borders and doing everything else that made this a great country once.
My friend, here. At that point, I've got to break in because I've got to move along. But I thank you much for a good call. Be good. Don Richards standing by with the WFLA News headlines at the bottom of the hour. Donald, 4:35. Thank you, Donald. The time. To the phones we go. Yes, Michael? Oh, great. I'm not terribly sure what's supposed to be happening here at this time of the day, and Michael's holding my hands in his life, or is that my life in his hands? I think that would probably be a little bit better. Nonetheless, one line available. It is in, where else? Pinellas County, 461-9352, 461-WFLA. Nothing like being caught off guard. Tampa, you're on the air at 970 WFLA. Hello, Tampa.
Tampa, yes.
Yes, hello.
Hey, Bob?
Yeah.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Great.
How you doing?
Fine.
Hey, you're doing a super job.
Thank you.
You spent some time up in the Tidewater section, didn't you, up next to Virginia Beach?
I sure did.
Yeah, that's my original home. Yeah, but I've been, like I said, I've been listening to your show ever since you came from Miami, was it? So it's been about over a year.
Yeah, much over a year.
Okay, about the incident that happened at the fair and College Hill, I tried to call you that particular week, about 3 weeks ago. I wholeheartedly agree with you 100%. Irresponsible parents, especially in the black community. See, I'm black myself. They need to get off that duff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they need to get off the duff and stop just sitting back and do something about the situation. And all the time, I've been following this thing for years and years, and all the time, the first thing they want to mention is racist or something like that. It's police. So the things that happen here in Tampa since I've been here for about a year and a half. They always want to blame somebody else for their problems instead of getting together as a community and try to do something about the problems. Because even over here where I live at, it really alarms me when you can go out 12 and 1 o'clock in the morning and you see little kids, 10, 12, 13 years old. I'm talking about especially little black kids. And what I've done, I ran a survey myself. I live over in the Palm River area, right off of 41. And I go to the little kids, about 10 or 12 of them. I said, where's your parents? They don't know. Where's your mother and father? They say, my mom, she's working. Where's your dad? I don't know. Does she know you up here? No.
There are a lot of white people that have the same situation. I don't really see where that has anything to do with it.
Absolutely. I'm talking about as a whole. You're absolutely right. But the main reason why I try to make that point is because, the blacks especially, they always screaming. I'm black myself, and they always screaming about this, and I talk to them on a day-to-day basis. Just like over here. You'll find me and a few of the other neighbors in the neighborhood. You'll find me out there picking up paper and trash out of my yard and my next-door neighbor's yard. And I talk to, and I see...
What does this have to do with 200 thugs running through the state fair, clubbing people over the head and stealing their gold chains?
Well, I was just trying to make my point. Irresponsible parents. That's the bottom line. Irresponsible parents. I agree. The people's responsible should come forward. They should come forward and state that. Whatever.
Well, again, trying to blame it on parents, irresponsible parents. Unless the parents took those kids to the state fair and gave them explicit instructions to go in there and steal somebody's gold chain. I'm sorry. These are just irresponsible human beings who do this kind of stuff.
I agree with you.
Lots of people had lousy parents.
Yes.
And lots of people have lousy parents right now and do just fine in this world.
Right. Absolutely.
I just don't see making excuses for these people any longer.
Right.
I don't see, blaming it on parents, blaming it on race, blaming it on this, blaming it on the other. Bull. We're talking about thugs that ought to be off the damn streets.
Absolutely. I was over there Monday. Then I'm going to cut it short, and then I'm going. And I had 6 young kids with me that I took over there for the school day. And a similar incident happened when I was there. And I was explaining to the kids, the reason for it. They should never get involved in a situation like that. And I had all different nationalities with me.
Thank you very much. 4:40 the time. Teddy Webb standing by with the sports. Teddy, 4:43 the time. I did not come here to pull your chain. There are lots of places in the Tampa Bay area that serve good food, just like Cobb's Cove. There are lots of places in the Tampa Bay area that have tableside service, just like Cobb's Cove. There are lots of places in the Tampa Bay area that are friendly, warm, comfortable, just like Cobb's Cove. There are probably even a couple of places in the Tampa Bay area that are casual, but still somehow elegant. But I don't know of any place in the Tampa Bay area, and I mean this sincerely, that fits all of those descriptions. I don't know of any place where you can have a night like you can have at Cobb's Cove. The baked almond brie for 2. Unbelievable. If you like brie, you will love the baked almond brie.
If you like seafood, may I please recommend to you the Italian Gentleman, a combination of fresh grouper and scallops and shrimp served on a bed of pasta. 4 different kinds of Italian cheeses and all crowned with crab meat and spinach. I mean, we are talking about a food orgy here. Unbelievable. Cobb's Cove. Unbelievable, but true. I really and truly do not know of any place in the Bay Area where you can find it all coming together like you find it coming together at Cobb's Cove. Great food, elegant service, warm, friendly, casual, and not very far away either. 13155 Gulf Boulevard in Madeira Beach. 13155 Gulf Boulevard in Madeira Beach. May I recommend reservations? The telephone number 393-3448.
And I guess...
Well, the problem is when they don't. It makes it that much easier for those people in the white community who are sitting on the fence, could go one way or the other, to go for a David Duke type of character, to paint all blacks as being, lazy, shiftless so-and-sos, whatever it might be.
Well, I think when they do that, they're utilizing their own personal ideology through an incident to further heighten those type of awareness and beliefs. I think that if you look and critically look at an issue or an event like happened at the fair for what it really is, open disrespect for other human beings who are also trying to enjoy the fair, and that we address that as such. And even in the community, not only in the black community, in every community, we should be outraged. I have never in all my life heard so much about color upon my return to Tampa. Everything, and even listening to this station, the callers that call in, it's always black, white, black, white. And I think if we redirect and where change starts is with each individual and do what you can in the community.
We know one of the reasons that there is so much black, white, and you're quite right. It's not just the white community who will not incorporate the black community into the day-to-day affairs of the running of this area. It's the other way around as well. There are too many black people who want to be separate.
Well, but that's true as well. And I was, let's go back a little bit of history behind it. This is not my first encounter with this type of activity. Out at one of the junior high schools here in Tampa, there was an incident where at that time some black youth were just running arbitrarily hitting white youth. I also intervened that particular time, and I spent an entire day out there to make sure that that did not occur. But and that was settled. And I do, when I find that type of situation, and I even went to the media, I said, look, this is occurring, and we need to get the message out to the parents that if their child is found guilty...
Right, it's odd to have these, stop in between these...
I know what you mean. What appalls me, one thing is the fair authority itself. They were saying that they were not aware that there was any problem of this nature.
I tell you, the guy's nose was getting longer and longer as it was speaking.
I agree with you, because I was at the fair Monday afternoon with my family, and we were out on the Midway Monday night, and about 10 o'clock, we were walking down a Midway. There was a guy in a 55-gallon barrel just beating the tar out of him. And all of a sudden, a group of them jumped up, and they started running down, and another group behind them, and then the sheriff's department came out behind them. The first thing you know, they were taking 4 or 5 off with handcuffs. And so somewhere there's a communication breakdown, or else they're just trying to snow the public. And as public officials...
Well, what you're talking about sounds to me like something that you would expect when you have 15, 20, 30,000 people gathered in one place, an occasional isolated incident, an occasional fist fight. But when you're talking about a couple of hundred people, as it was reported, running through the fairgrounds, that is not an isolated incident.
Well, I agree. And I would say probably on Monday night, the group was running about 50 to 60 people running through there then. So it wasn't, just 4 or 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they say this was isolated. It's not isolated. They've had this problem going off and on for the last couple of years, from what I understand, but they've just tried to cover it up because they're afraid it's going to affect their attendance figures. And I believe what they need to do is see what they can do to solve the problem as far as security goes on their part. And one way would be to get away from this midnight madness and things of this nature. Because all you're doing is you're asking for trouble. You're asking for the people that are going to be out on the street roaming around at midnight anyway. They're going to spend their $3 and whatever it costs them for their rides, and then you're going to have the difficulty with groups, and they're lawless groups, that's all they are, running around and attacking innocent people.
Well, I can't really help but feel that these people are not out there to spend their $10 to go on rides. I haven't the biggest idea what in the hell they're there for, but they just don't seem to be, from what I've heard, the type of people who are into that kind of thing.
Well, I bet you down to a donut, if I was a betting man, that the same group that was out there Monday night running was the same group that was out there again Friday night causing the same incident.
Probably. We can't have that many thugs roaming around the area.
No, that type of idea in the same degree, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
My main thing was I just wanted to let you know that the fair authority had to be aware of what was transpiring before it ever happened Friday night.
Oh, of course they were.
They just let it get out of hand.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Bob.
One more hour yet to go on this Monday edition of the Lassiter thing at a new time and, well, not really a new place, I guess. Please, whatever you do, don't venture very far.
Harvey invites you to join him on News Radio 970 WFL.
News Radio 970 WFLA.
Whoa! Here, shut this. Excuse me. It's something like, well, you guys have smoke alarms at home. We have something in here that goes off when Don Richards isn't on the air between 4 and 6 p.m. It's called the Richards alarm. And I'm sorry I didn't know how to reset it. Where were we? Clearwater, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Yeah, Bob.
Yeah, Clear.
Yeah, how you doing today, guys?
Oh, fine, thanks.
You got a hot topic going on today, huh? Well, what I mean is that you're into, like, race relations. I noticed that a lot of times that when you talk about your ratings, the shows that really get you the highest ratings are usually something like race or sex. Or bring out type
well, no, actually it doesn't, because I rarely do sex for openers. I'm a prude. And secondly, I only do race when it's in the news.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So what's your point, boy?
Boy?
Yeah, boy.
No, I heard you say today that you were saying that this is a lot of hearsay that you say. You say you weren't at the fair.
That's right. It wasn't at the fair. That's right.
And you're making all these accusations, and you really haven't really seen anything, right? I never heard you do that before. Usually you speak of just facts.
Yeah, well, it is a fact that some black people went running through the fair on Friday night, and it's also a fact that I wasn't there, and it's also a fact that I'm disgusted by it, and it's also a fact that a lot of people in the black community try to brush over such things. These are all facts, all things that I've dealt with today.
I don't think that anything that really happens is going to really be brushed over.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard anything about any whites that went to the hospital? From what I've been listening at your station all day today, and pretty much from what I've understood is there were just a lot of people like joined hands, what they call the rush or whatever, running through the fairgrounds and just knocking people down. And I didn't really think about
gold chains stolen and things like that. Yeah. You're the very type of individual that is helping this country to put David Duke in office. You're the type of individual who tries to make excuses, or who tries to say, well, it wasn't that serious. No, I'm sorry. There were quite a number of people who were seriously injured.
I would never say there wasn't serious at all.
You're trying to do it right here and right now.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Yes, you are, sir. You're trying to imply that I'm doing this to hype my ratings and that there really wasn't anything very serious going on. That this is just something that Bob Lassiter has decided to do to up his ratings. Sir, the last thing in the world I need to do is race to up my ratings, huh?
Bob, a lot of black people have called this station today, especially since you've been on, to discuss this subject that you're relating to. And I think that the reason that you're getting these
calls... And, sir,
calls,
by the way, I started out with a 20-minute monologue, 15 minutes of which dealt with... 15 minutes of which dealt with, sir, the Republican Party and their bigoted ways.
Right. And this was also a part of your monologue, this thing that happened at the fair.
Damn right it was, sir, because I'm a little sick and tired of seeing it.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is that you're having a lot of blacks calling in and discussing this thing with you because there are a lot of blacks that are concerned. You see, you make it sound
right, so concerned that they call me up and tell me that I'm doing this to up my ratings.
Oh, no, but I don't think that would hurt your ratings. I know a lot of times people call you and they want to discuss things with you that you're not, you really don't want to discuss. you know, and you pretty much just cut them off. You know, because that's really not what your subject was about. I'm trying to discuss something with you that your subject was about today.
Well, that's amazing, sir, because I didn't know that my ratings were part of the conversation today.
Well, I think you're the best in this area, actually. I've told several people...
Oh, yeah, now try to grease me, sir.
Beg your pardon?
Now try to grease me.
Grease you?
Yeah, you heard me.
No, well, listen, no, I just think that you're good, you know, but that, you know, I just want to try to express this point that I'm trying to get over, you know. You know, you don't know me, so it doesn't make any difference whether you like me or not. I just want you to try to express, you know, address what you're talking about.
Well, when are you going to start doing so, sir?
When
you know, you've been on now for like 3 or 4 minutes at least.
When you let me do it.
What do you mean when I let you do it?
Listen, okay, I'll tell you like this. I tuned in Saturday for your usually taped show. And you weren't there. You know, I even listened to your tape shows because, you know, I dig you. But the thing is, I got this guy, Joe Flores, and he made a statement at his show that day that a lot of this racism talk and stuff actually perpetuates racism itself. You see? And I think that this...
Well, sir, I beg your pardon. When there's a racist incident at a state fair and people try to cover it up or pretend, well, it wasn't very serious, that perpetuates racism.
But that's why I ask you. You know, you said out from the outset in your monologue that you thought that it was a racist thing. And that's why I asked you just now, were there any whites? Do you know of any whites that went to the
Sir, the Florida the Florida State Fair, while it may in theory be for all of the citizens of Florida,
right.
You know as well as I do, it's the Florida State White Folks Fair. Because there just aren't an awful lot of people who live in ghettos that care about, you know, a prize-winning hog, and who care a great deal about apple pie recipes, and who are into a lot of white soul food. So, you know, it's the Florida State White Folks Fair, and when some black people go running through it, that is a racial incident, just as it would be if it were a Martin Luther King Day parade and a lot of white folks went running through it, knocking people down. That would be a racist incident, and both should be deplored.
Sure.
That's all I'm saying.
Sure, I'm definitely not disagreeing with you that it's something that should be spoken out against. You know, I don't care who did it. My thing is that, you know, you saying that it was a racist thing. I'm asking you, were only white people damaged in this thing?
I don't know, sir. I haven't seen the police report.
But you sit there and you say that it was a racist thing.
No, sir. What I do know is that the Tampa Tribune didn't bother to mention anything. What I do know is that I'm told that the St. Petersburg Times didn't bother to mention anything about any race.
And I'm surprised that you are sitting there and being so heavy on this thing and you don't have your facts, because that's one reason why I always done it, because you always had your facts.
Sir, I do have... It is a fact that a lot of people on the air here, off the air, people that I've run into out in my own personal life were there, do report that it was primarily a black situation. Whether or not there were blacks injured, sir, I'm sure it's quite possible. I'm sure it's quite possible. I'm also sure, sir, that it's quite possible that some white thugs took advantage of the mayhem to also be jerks. I'm quite sure that all of these things are possible, but it is very probable. It is highly probable. It is virtually certain that it was started by a group of rampaging black youth.
Because that's the way you know it, because you know.
Sir, why don't you send a check to David Duke? You're doing everything in your power. Everything in your power, sir. Everything in your power, sir, to help a hell of a lot of yahoos and rednecks sit home, whizzle on their beer, and say, "I'll tell you, I think it is a bunch of racism," and that poor man on that radio station is right.
I think that one of your callers who called in before me and made a good point is that I think that maybe they shouldn't have this midnight madness.
Well, we all concur on that, and as a matter of fact, on that point, on that great point of concurrence, I must move along because Teddy Webb standing by with a WFLA Sports Report. Hi, Teddy.
Thank you very much, Mad Dog. There has been an awful lot of...
I was going through my papers here, and nowhere does it say, you know, a beach report from McHenry.
No,
traffic.
I talked about traffic going out to the beaches. And, I mean, we have to fly by the beaches to see if they're crowded.
Yeah, but you don't have to fly that low back and forth repeatedly with your binoculars. just keep to the traffic from now on, McHenry.
We're legal. Hold on just a second. Hey, baby! Hey! baby. Nice one. Yeah, nice one. I'm Gary McHenry, 970 WFLA Airborne Traffic.
The medical profession is learning more and more every...
McHenry? How you doing there, Gary?
You know, Friday night, remember our little get-together?
Right, with your dirty car. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the girls saying,
Ew, look at that dirty car.
Yeah, well, I noticed something.
Yeah.
I was up at the bar surrounded by 3 beautiful women, and all you had was your one wife. Beautiful, no less, but you were with one woman.
Yeah, but I went home with one, too. Okay, 26 and a half minutes after the hour of 5 o'clock. Love the work with that button there, Mikey. By the way, 3 locations to serve you. Speaking of the Grand Prix Car Wash, 1880 Gulf to Bay Boulevard, right across from the Clearwater High School. Seminole, 10471 Park Boulevard, and the newest location, 3622 Gandy Boulevard, about half a block east of the Crosstown in Tampa. Speaking of Tampa, hi, Tampa. You're on there at 970.
Hello.
Hi.
I'd like to say, first of all, congratulations to that lady that said that she was black and that she stepped up and told those 2 black kids that broke in line at the fair that they need to get out of line and go to the end of the line. That's exactly the kind of action that's going to keep guys like David Duke out of office.
Yes, it will. It will certainly help anyway.
Yes, that's right. Because what happens is that people are relying too much on the police to do things for them that they ought to be doing themselves. The police can't get involved in that kind of stuff. There's not enough policemen to go around. So what happens is these thugs, like went through the other night, they're going to think, and I'm sure they do think, that if the police don't see them, then they can get away with it. And they don't have the respect for the other people in the world that would say, hey, you guys are doing wrong, and we're going to report you.
Well, it all goes back. I totally concur with what you're saying, but it all goes back to a conversation again a little bit earlier still in this program. An older man called up, nice guy, but, saying, oh, well, it's the parents' fault. Well, yeah, it is the parents' fault, but it's everybody's fault when we see this kind of thing happen, when we don't stick our noses into it.
But, Bob?
It just has a cumulative snowballing effect, yes.
The other thing I'd like to say is that there's a guy there that called in before she did that said that he knew one of these guys, and he just got around to talking to him today. And he said that he was a black person. And what I'd like to say is that if he knows of a thug, no matter what age he is, and he knows that he committed a crime, he should go down and report the man, because that's exactly the kind of thing that they realize that they have, that, hey, somebody saw me, and it doesn't matter if he knows me because they're not going to report me anyway. And I have a feeling that when the police go in to do their job, if they think they have a suspect, and for instance, if one of my daughters got in trouble and the police said, hey, we think your daughter's in trouble, I would ask my daughter to come forward and say, did you do this? Let's go see. Let's face the charges. If you're innocent, fine. What happens to me is this knee-jerk reaction that just because the police come into the black community, they say, hey, it's the police. We're not answering any questions. We don't have anything to do with you. He's innocent. And they cover up. And that's exactly what this man is doing, is covering up for that thug that he said that he knew who he was, and he won't report him. He needs to be reported.
Well, that goes all the way around. It's something I speak about quite frequently. It's in the white community. It's in the black community. It's in the ghetto. It's in the suburbs. It's everywhere. And all know people who do wrong. And we just have to. If we want to make this a safer, better place to live,
the police can't be everywhere.
Exactly.
The police cannot be everywhere. We've got to help the police. And I'm not saying strap on a gun. I'm saying, hey, look, buddy, I saw you doing this, and I'm going to file charges against you because I saw you do it. And the black people don't need a Martin Luther King Boulevard here in Tampa until these black leaders can come forward and do what you're talking about, is take responsibility.
But again, let me jump in very briefly because I've got to run very quickly. It's not just a matter of I'm going to file charges at you. It's when you see somebody doing something wrong, when you see somebody doing something stupid, maybe not necessarily illegal. It's like, oh man, that was really a dumb thing to do.
Yeah.
God, clean up your act.
Hey, stop it. Yeah. Right.
Exactly. Thank you, my friend.
Sure.
Don Richards standing by with a WFLA News Brief. Donald.
Law enforcement
early. The report is scheduled for 40, and he's already playing the sounder at like 39:30. Would you please?
You want to play the sounder again for the bozo there, Michael?
Thank you. Wait a minute. Still have 6 seconds.
This time he'll. Hey, Hey, up to the sky, it's Quantity McHenry with a WFLA traffic report. Hi there, Quantity.
Hey, thanks, Bob. Traffic along 275 northbound, not too bad. Approaching Bird Street, slowing down a little bit. Right about Sly Avenue is about the only slowdown you'll encounter. I-4 out to U-Haul Hill there, 21st Street. A bit of a delay at that point just because the traffic merges in. And all the northerners with the felt hats and the blue hair wondering which lane they need to be in. Still
Committee, they took away something from people they had nothing to do with usually, in day-to-day activities. And I remember as a kid how I resented it, that we couldn't go to the fair anymore. My parents wouldn't take me there. It's too dangerous. And it kind of crosses a line over where it's different when they're down in College Hill and they're beating up on each other. White people don't care about that. But when they do cross over the line and do something as racist as this, I don't know, it just feeds to the fire. And I think I just sense it's building and building, and something's going to break one way or another. And I think it's pretty sad, it's going to happen into an area like this.
I was listening on Saturday, and I can't remember if it was the host or a caller. Doesn't really make any difference, because what was said is that I guess it was the host. He was saying, well, I just really don't see this racism thing as being that, what in essence he was saying is, hey, I'm doing okay. And most of the middle-class black folk I know are doing okay.
Right.
But when you see David Duke getting elected, when you see the ghettos aren't getting any smaller and conditions are not getting any better, and the economic conditions for an awful lot of black people are not getting any better, I think we're kidding ourselves to assume that everything is honky-dory. It ain't.
It's not. And I think it's time the black community, their so-called leaders, where are their leaders now? When are they going to speak up and say, well, of course it's wrong. They can come out and sugarcoat it like the papers do. But they got to say, look,
well, an awful lot of white people are sugarcoating it, too. A lot of white people are sugarcoating it, too, and that's got to stop.
Well, they're in the newspapers. They got newspapers to sell. They don't like bad newspaper. They don't like bad headlines about the blacks. If, like you said before, if this would have been a Martin Luther King thing, and white people would have done it, it would have been, it might have made national news.
Oh, it certainly would have, and well, it should have.
Yeah, but this won't be nothing. This happens every day in the big cities where, there's so much crime, and I just think the black community down here better get together and get serious, because if not, they're going to be spinning and spinning for generations to come.
I just can't buy any of these cheap, flimsy excuses earlier in the show. Well, it's because, David Duke was about to be elected. Give me a break. These people don't know what day of the week it is.
Right.
Let alone who the hell's running for political office, or it's this, or it's that, or it's the years of oppression. Well, maybe it is, but I don't care anymore. Just straighten up your damned act.
That's right. I agree.
Thank you much.
All right.
Be good. One line available. It's in Pinellas, 461-9352. Oldsmar High, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Yeah, good afternoon, Bob.
Afternoon.
I think we're going to have to renegotiate your contract. You get too many breaks. Bob, I want to talk about what I feel...
Yeah, I'm going to have to go through at least 53 cents a call to make up for the difference. You're right.
Yes. I think the problem is, what I believe, I want you to educate me on this, is white frustration is starting to set in the white field here. Is white frustration. We all have troubles paying our bills. We all, at times, have everyday problems. But, we don't go out and raise havoc all over the world. What I'm frustrated with is, with the black community, is this. And I, being a white man, you'd probably call me a racist, and I really don't think I am. I'm very frustrated. Is that through the years in this country, every minority has come up through the ranks and made its own ranks, except the black.
Well, it is more difficult, obviously, for the black to assimilate. It's a hell of a lot easier for an Irishman to look like everybody else. It's a hell of a lot easier for a German or an Italian or whatever. When you're black, and it's pretty damned hard to disguise it.
Yeah, but Bob,
however, you speak of... Well, 1 second here. You speak in terms of, in the beginning of your call, of your frustration. I understand your frustration. And I think that the Tampa Trib and the television stations and maybe even this radio station and the St. Petersburg Times are helping to fuel those frustrations when they try to sugarcoat an incident like this. However, again, when the white community, maybe the white community doesn't go rampaging through the fair stealing people's gold chains off their necks to get even with them. What the white community is doing more and more in this country are electing people like David Duke so that black people don't get gold chains.
I agree, and that's a sad state.
Well, hey, it's got to stop, and we've got to start living in reality. Everybody, media, white community, black community.
Bob, why can't like the Hispanics, the Hispanic people buy off Hispanic people? That's how they built themselves and get out of the ghettos. Why can't the blacks buy off blacks and sell to blacks? And why?
Well, actually, you're wrong. You're talking about the Cubans in Miami. You must remember the initial influx of Cuban immigrants into this country for years and years and years. These were the middle class from Cuba, and even more importantly than that, they were the merchant class from Cuba. These were people who had a tradition of doing business.
Yeah.
You will find, if you go into South Texas, into certain portions of Arizona, California, the Hispanic community is not as together, anywhere near as together, as the Hispanic community is in Miami, because they're a different type of refugee, a different type of immigrant, actually, not refugee, a different type of immigrant.
Well, I hope they can get their act together anyway for themselves.
I hope everybody gets their acts together. Yeah. Hell, I'd like to get mine together, too.
Bye-bye.
Be good. 5:48 the time. A couple of things I want to talk to you about. First of all, let me dip deep into the box for yet another lucky finalist in the Learjet. The Learjet thing here, and this time around it is, oh joy, why do they do this to me? Rachel Valadez, it would appear to be. On May 19th, my granddad will be 96 years old. Great-grandchildren have to see him. He lives in Lubbock, Texas. Rachel Valadez, you just might get a chance to do that because you are a finalist now. Card to be drawn on March 16th as to who will get the Dream Learjet trip. Also, want to talk to you about a new client today, Town & Country. Town & Country Mortgage and Investment Corporation. We're talking about a mortgage broker. I didn't know what a mortgage broker was until I sat down with these people last week. Maybe you don't know what a mortgage broker is either. I want to tell you that's quite an education. I haven't the vaguest idea what I thought a mortgage broker did. But by the time I walked away from that table about an hour or so after we started talking, my head was reeling. And I can't wait over the days and the weeks and the months ahead to tell you about a mortgage broker. Does that sound kind of silly? Excited about a mortgage broker? Well, I promise you it isn't silly, because a mortgage broker can save you money. If you have top-notch credit, a mortgage broker will go out and find you the best possible deal. You don't have the time or the facilities to do so. So a mortgage broker can save you great credit. If you have bad credit or no credit or you're a bankrupt, mortgage broker can probably get you a loan. 9 WWSLA.
Hello, Bob.
Hi.
I got a bone to pick with you first.
Okay.
It's been 34 minutes I've been waiting to talk to you. I've never called you before. It's my first time calling you.
Mm-hmm.
And I first wanted to tell you that I enjoy listening to you.
Well, thank you.
I listen to you at work, and you change the hours, so I work until 5, so it's no problem for me to listen to you.
Where's the butt now? There's got to be a butt someplace.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I enjoy listening to you. I really do.
Oh, all right. I thought you said you had a bone to pick with me.
Oh, making me wait so long.
Well, we take them in the order in which they come.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll accept that.
It's basically true. Very few exceptions.
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about the state fair bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a friend of mine, she had gone, her friend of hers had gone to the fair and took her little son with her. And they didn't go during the midnight madness hour, but they had gone, a little before that. And she had told me about her little boy, how people just run, while her little girl, too, would just bump into them and run them over and not really care. Now, these are Oriental people. These are not black.
Well, the truth of the matter is, if I had a family that I was taking to the fair, I honestly and truly do not believe I would go at a time that was primarily designed to attract teenagers.
Yeah, I know I would not. I've gone, a long time ago, when I was in my teens. But I did not enjoy it. I took my children to the fair this year, a couple of weeks ago. Well, the first week it was out. And people were just rude. I don't know if it's because of my husband being a different nationality or what, but people just run into my kids and bump them and whatever. These were adults, not really teenagers.
Unbelievable.
But
that's the way we are with each other anymore.
I mean, I'm at the point where I've lived in Florida since I was born, and I'm at the point where I don't like it here no more. I just want to move up north, go live in the country someplace where there's not many people.
Well, the sad fact of the matter is I'd like to live with the grass. But I'm not convinced that it is.
Yeah, it probably isn't. Because my sister lives in Arkansas, and she gets kind of a bad end of the deal up there. But I was thinking, whenever a friend of mine had told me about that, I had told her, I said, well, it's best if you're going to take your kids somewhere, take them to a park when, there's a day that there's not many people. That's what I think is fine.
Well, with the whole state all the way around with racial issues, let's not bring an issue to it. Let's downplay it. Maybe we can make it better.
I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but it seems to me the best way to get publicity where you don't want it is to try to downplay something.
Well,
you got 30,000 witnesses. Somebody going to talk about it.
Well, we got wrongs on both sides of the street here. The black community is fighting for naming a street after Martin Luther King. There's a lot more higher priorities in their community than renaming a street. Why don't we take...
Yeah, like taking your family to the state fair and feeling safe.
Yeah.
Much higher priority.
How about let's start with public housing, which is predominantly black. Let's get those fixed up. Spend money there instead of renaming streets. How about education for the black community?
All seems to make perfect sense to me. What the hell's what's wrong with everybody else? Except for you and me, huh?
I don't. Welcome to the state of Florida, false paradise.
Well, I don't know. I've been here for 8 years.
I've been here 4 years by the grace of Uncle Sam, and I'm fed up with it.
Well, again, I'm not so sure that it's any better someplace else. I've got to believe that. I have to believe that, or else I can't go on.
Well, you come from a different background than I do, where I'm not used to racial situation. I'm from the state of Vermont, where the black population is nil.
Well,
and
okay,
this is all
touche.
news to me.
My friend, I thank you very much.
Okay, have a good one.
You too. Be good. Brings us to the end of this one. Standing by in just a couple of minutes, Ted Webb out at the Brandon Sports Emporium for a live broadcast. We'll see you tomorrow about 3. Behave yourselves now, would you?